This podcast is brought to you by Most Valuable Podcasts, leading the league in podcasting entertainment.
What's up, everybody? Ricky Widmer here, along with the Mark Weber.
Dub them ease.
And we are back for the Onside Kick right here on Most Valuable Podcast, your one-stop shop for NFL news and analysis here on Most Valuable Podcast. Got a jam-packed show today, Mark, talking about the Jets-Colts trade, which I got an extra question from one of our favorite fans, Shane O'Mac. On Twitter, has a Colt question for us there. This is a topic that everyone's been like, hey, MVP, when are you getting that out? When are you getting it out? Well, we're getting it out now. We're going to talk about that. We're also going to invite Christian on, one of our loyal patrons, to talk about the NFC North. And then finally, we're going to take a look back at the NFL draft. You guys said on our mock draft last week, hey, where's the Charger talk? We're giving you Charger talk to end the podcast today, what they should do with their first-round pick in the NFL draft. But a little bit of housekeeping before we start. Number one, you want to be like Christian today, join a podcast, help support Most Valuable Podcast. Go ahead and check out patreon.com/Most Valuable Podcast. That link down below in the description. Want to get yourself an MVP shirt? I had to look over. I didn't think you were wearing the shirt today. Get yourself an MVP t-shirt. That link down below in the description as well. MostValuablePodcast.com. That's where we put everything each and every day, so it's in one central location for you. And then if you're on Apple Podcasts, iTunes, give us a 5-star rating. Then the two things I'm adding is, if you haven't already, go check out The Outcast with Buzz and Juice, our newest podcast, Chicago podcast for MVP. And last but not least, last time I checked, Mark, we are this many subscribers. So if you're on YouTube or if you're listening audio-wise and you have a YouTube account and haven't subscribed, give us that sub, where I believe we're 10 away from 10K as of recording this, so that would really help us. We really want to get to 10K before the end of the month. But Mark, we're looking at this trade between the Jets and the Colts. The Jets moving up to the 3rd overall pick from the 6th. The Colts move back to 6. Colts get a couple second-round picks as well. I just want to ask you this up front. We're going to talk about how this changes the draft. But when you heard that this was happening on Saturday, what was your first thought?
My first thought was, all right, Jets need a quarterback. They're getting a quarterback.
I thought this was going to happen on draft day. I thought this was the kind of trade we see on draft day.
Last year,
the movie
being the exception, in the past few years, it's all been about getting it done before. You know, and it's the kind of thing where this is the Jets making their move saying, we're getting our quarterback. Sorry, Denver. Sorry, Buffalo. We're going and getting our quarterback.
No, it's more Demi Lovato. Sorry, not sorry. We're getting our quarterback.
And it's just one of those situations here where they're sitting there going, I think they kind of read it and saw that, well, Buffalo traded one step of the way. They're probably going to try the other one pretty soon, so we're going to make sure we do what we have to do.
Well, and the thing that I'm looking at a tweet from the Colts that has a nice graphic for it. So all the Jets get is the 3rd overall pick. But then the Colts get the 6th overall pick, a second-round pick, which is the 37th, the second-round pick, which is the 49th, and then a second in 2019.
Yeah.
Here's a question I have, and I'm not going to say – I've said this before in the past when the Carson Wentz trade happened, and obviously it worked out for the Eagles because they won a Super Bowl. Of course, Wentz wasn't there when they won the Super Bowl, but – he was a big part of them this season doing it. Is this a good move for the Jets, giving up? Because a lot of people are saying, why do you give up so many second-round picks just to move up 3 spots for a quarterback?
Well, is it a good move for the Jets? I mean, yeah, they have to do this. They were the kind of essentially the odd man out here because you had New England. You had Cleveland needed a quarterback. You had the Giants could draft a quarterback. You have the Denver Broncos need a quarterback. The Bills are that team that wants to trade up into this to get a quarterback. And they were behind everybody except for the Bills in this situation. So they had to do something. So they had to move.
So here's what I'm going to ask you. This is what we're going to get into. Now how it changes the draft. Now the Jets are at 3. Obviously, the first thing that this changes is both in our last mock draft, our 4.0, both you and I had the Browns going Saquon Barkley, number 1. That obviously changes now. to where the Browns now seriously have to sit there and think, do we take Saquon and then hope that, well, obviously there's going to be a quarterback. There's 4 of them. There's Allen, Darnold, Rosen, and Mayfield. There's going to be at least 2 of them that are available at 4 because there's only 2 picks between their first and 4th round picks. Mm-hmm. If you're the Browns now, because the Jets moved up, do you now go quarterback number 1? Just take the one you like the best instead of like, you know what? We'll let the Jets and whoever figure it out, and then we'll take our pick of the last 2 or 3 when we're at 4.
Well, here's the interesting thing, and the thing that I would love to know. Mm-hmm. And if I'm Cleveland Browns, I'm doing some little spy research or something here to figure it out. Did the Jets contact the Giants? That's what I want to know.
I'm going to assume no, just because I don't know if the Giants would want to help the Jets. I know they're in different conferences.
I don't think that's necessarily a thing that matters. What I want to know is the Jets traded with the Colts. Mm-hmm. So they have the very real possibility of getting the 3rd quarterback. Are the Jets happy with the 3rd quarterback? Do they love these 3 quarterbacks equally, or do they have a guy in mind, maybe a second guy in mind? The reason this is important is because, well, if they called the Giants and they laughed and hung up the phone, then all of a sudden you're sitting there going, all right, let's say we do take Saquon Barkley. Mm-hmm. Obviously, the Giants are taking a quarterback because they laughed and hung up on the Jets. The Jets traded up. They're taking their quarterback. So we get quarterback number 3. Are we, the Browns, happy with quarterback number 3? Do we like 3 quarterbacks equally? I'm sitting here thinking there is no way that the Browns don't have their guy in mind. Just like I think that the Jets most likely have a guy in mind as well, but probably weren't able to trade with the Giants. Whether the Giants are in love with a quarterback and really want one right now or just want to keep the options open, that's a different story. Because I think if Saquon Barkley is there, the Giants might be very tempted to just grab him. So for me, I had Saquon. I would change it right now. Browns taking a quarterback, 1 overall.
So here's what I'm thinking, and this is me obviously sparkling right now. This is me going into taking my tinfoil hat. I got to wear it this Saturday on the fast break. I'm wearing it again. Think about the pro days. Sam Darnold, as of recording this on Tuesday, Sam Darnold hasn't had his. It's tomorrow. Yep. So 21st of March. You've had UCLA, which was, all right, UCLA's was on the 15th, so this can go into it as well. So they had theirs on the 15th. Oklahoma had theirs on the 14th, and then Wyoming isn't going to have theirs until the 23rd. Now, you can do this either one of 2 ways. Because the Broncos were at both Baker's, and obviously, I believe everybody, I think they said every single team had a scout at Josh Rosen's pro day. Did the Jets make this trade? Basically, they made it on Saturday, so that would have been the 17th. Did they make this trade on the 17th because they're tipping their hand saying, you know what? We know John Elway likes one of the 2 guys, whether you're thinking it's Baker, whether you're thinking it's Josh Rosen. We know the Browns are probably going to... I'm thinking Baker, mainly because they're probably like, Elway likes him. Elway will take him if he's there. The Browns will probably take him if he's there. Let's force the Browns' hand. Hey, if you really like Baker, take him at 1. If not, we're taking him at 3.
Well, as we are sitting here now recording on the 20th, it was only, 8 days ago that the Buffalo Bills made their trade?
Yep.
I actually think that, sure, the pro days are nice, but I really think that pro days don't really tell you very much.
Except for the interviews. I think the interviews are the only thing that matters.
Yeah. But beyond that, there's not that much that you learn in a pro day.
But people get hyped from the pro day.
Yeah, they get hyped, but it's scripted.
Did the Jets though look at it and go, hey, we like our guy?
What I'm getting at is that Cincinnati and Buffalo trade happened, 2 days before this earliest pro day of the 14th. I think that's the thing where the Jets said, we really got to do something here. We got to pick up a phone call. We got to pick up the phone and make a call. And it could have taken some days, and maybe they, did see the pro day, and they're like, man, there are differences between some of these quarterbacks, or they have these conversations, and they say, we want to get in on this because we can't be the fourth team.
So let me see if I'm catching you right. Basically, they made this deal with the Colts saying, if we make the deal now, get the third, the Bills can't make that deal with the Colts and give them 2 first-round picks instead of our hauls of seconds.
Exactly.
Okay.
You're jumping in front of the Bills because you saw them make a trade, and you know that they're interested to potentially do it again. You're saying, nope, we're shutting it down. The only trade partner they have would be the Colts. We know that from our own research, probably. So we're going to make the trade so they can't do it.
Take me through this again. This is going to be, I know we just did our 4.0 mock draft. We're going to have our 5.0 and things are going to change. But right now, just for the top 6 picks, we're going to do right now a revised mock draft, just for the top 6.
Okay.
Because the thing I want to do, and I'll put the graphic up there with who we got, go 1 through 6 now, with the Colts now at 6, the Jets now at 3. What does your top 6 picks look like after this trade?
So number 1 overall, I'm still going to go Sam Darnold.
Okay.
I still think
you're going to change now.
I mean, as my best quarterback. Sam Darnold's pretty much usually my best quarterback. But yeah, it has changed from Saquon Barkley. The Giants' choice becomes really difficult for me on, do you go with Saquon? Do you go with Quentin Nelson? Do you go with the second best quarterback? And part of me wants to go back to the days where I was thinking Josh Rosen. Have that guy who you can sit there, you can have him learn, or even Josh Allen, have him learn, develop this guy as it goes forward. I am believing right now, as it stands, that the Jets would have tried to trade for the second overall, because it wouldn't have made sense to just say, we're happy with third, and maybe we'll get the third best quarterback. I'm going to believe that they at least gave it a shot to see if they could get number 2 overall, and it didn't work. So because of that, Josh Allen to the New York Giants instead of Josh Rosen, because I think that Josh Allen's a guy who definitely could sit and learn. New York Jets, Josh Rosen. 4. God, if you can get Saquon with that, that's the thing though, because this just bumps Saquon so far back, and I know that Cleveland fans don't want Saquon,
or he goes second.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, if I'm sitting there in this case, you know what? No, actually, I don't even. Minkah Fitzpatrick.
Okay.
I'm gonna go a different direction. Not with Saquon Barkley, which is a shock to the world that you wouldn't go Saquon Barkley here in my eyes, and they'll go with Minkah Fitzpatrick. It's a little bit more of a need as opposed to just someone who will be extremely useful. Maybe I would regret having them not take Saquon in that case. And then Denver Broncos, if they can't get Minkah,
do they go quarterback or do they go Bradley Chubb?
I'm thinking Chubb. And I'm having the debate in my head of if I think that Rosen would be, or not Rosen, Baker Mayfield, he's the one that's left, would be the good fit here. But I think I would go with Chubb.
And then the Colts?
The Colts.
Do they go guard with Quentin Nelson then?
Probably. I mean, Quentin Nelson, at 6 overall is phenomenal value.
So just to make sure I got it right while the graphic's still up there. Darnold to the Browns, Allen to the Giants, Rosen then to the Jets at 3, Minkah to the Browns at 4, Bradley Chubb to the Broncos, Quentin Nelson to the Jets.
Yeah.
Or Quentin Nelson to the Colts, not the Jets.
Yeah,
the
and then to sit there for Tampa Bay, we're not going that far, but to Tampa Bay to sit there and say, you mean we get Saquon Barkley?
Mine's a little different, and the reason why is...
And I will... Hold on, not to interrupt you, but just for the comment section who's angry at me. The
comment section usually gets angry at your mock draft. Like, this last one, we got comments, and I'm not doing this just to toot my own horn. I just find it humorous. Like, there was one comment, Ricky, bravo. And then there's one where it's like, this individual pick that happens to be on Mark's mock draft.
Well, Browns fans don't like it.
Neither did the Niners with Calvin Ridley.
Yeah, but you guys missed out on so many good options for wide receiver. And now you have Richard Sherman. You know, wide receiver is a good option for you. I'm sorry. You guys can enjoy Calvin Ridley. But I'm putting this out there that I am going off the belief that these three teams do want quarterbacks because of the fact that I think this is evidence that the Jets would have traded with the Giants. That's what throws, because I know Saquon Barkley falling all the way to 7 is ridiculous. And I think that there are going to be a shit ton of teams that are picking up the phone for the Broncos. Okay, for the Colts. Okay, for the Buccaneers. Because they would want a guy like Saquon Barkley. I do agree. It's ridiculous for him to fall that short. But I'm just using the evidence of what's there to see that, and also going off of the fact that the Browns need a corner more than they need a running back.
Well, and then
to say why he would fall.
Let me give mine, and this is actually going to segue us into the Colts and how this is a great move for them because of what I believe. So my quarterback rankings now change because I've got the Broncos taking a quarterback. Before I had Josh Allen as the first quarterback to the Giants. If the Browns are taking a quarterback number 1 and not going Saquon, it's Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold is the most ready. Yeah, Baker's great, but you know what? We're going with Sam Darnold. We're going with the safe pick at number 1. We can't bust with a quarterback at number 1 like we could maybe do at number 4. Then number 2, I'm sorry, like everyone that I've seen on like ESPN and Fox and everyone's like, Saquon, don't draft him if you're the Giants. Draft him if you are the Giants, because what's the one thing? You get Jonathan Stewart. Jonathan Stewart is closer to the end than he is the beginning.
Yeah.
Saquon Barkley is almost a Boobie Miles type player.
And Eli
Catch,
needs
run,
any
kick,
help
return.
he can get.
You take it. You haven't had a great running back in what seems like forever.
Now, the flip side is, I don't know that a running back's going to do that good regardless in New York because of the offensive line.
I either take Saquon or Quentin Nelson. I went with Saquon number 2. Then the Jets at 3, Baker Mayfield. I'm going on the fact they traded up to get Baker Mayfield so that the Broncos couldn't. Then at number 4, the Browns, and this is a switch for me in my cornerback rankings, Denzel Ward over a Minkah Fitzpatrick. Denzel Ward to the Browns at 4. Broncos then go Josh Rosen and the Colts. This is why I think this is a great trade for the Colts. Not only do you get a ton of second-round picks. Who's the one guy I haven't mentioned yet?
Chubb?
Bradley Chubb. You were going to take him at 3. Now you can take him at 6.
Yeah.
You could have taken him at 3. Now you accumulate second-round picks and one next year, and you get the same guy that you would have taken at 3. That is why, to me, just moving right into it, this could be, and right now I'm looking at, I know with trades, we got to look down the line, what do you do with those picks? But right now, this is almost a home run deal for the Colts because of the fact they can get their same guy at 6.
Yeah, it's the kind of thing. I mean, it's different than, let's say, the Browns, where people are like, man, the Browns really fleeced the Eagles, and then it worked out really well for the Eagles. But, the Colts don't need a quarterback. They can sit there and say, well, all right, we would be more than happy with Chubb. We would be more than happy with a Quentin Nelson. There are guys that we will be fine with.
Well, you know who it reminds me of? And this isn't like a fleece thing that I bring this up again. It reminds me of the Bears-Niners trade.
Because the 49ers needed anything.
Well, no, Jordan Lynch, even if he was thinking Solomon Thomas in his head, hey, you know what? If I can trade with the Bears, make them think there's something, get some picks and get the same guy I was thinking, like that is the same thing the Colts are doing here is, hey, you know what? You want this guy really bad, the guy that you want, I can get the same guy at the pick that you
And
have.
I don't necessarily even think it's a specific, we're going to get this same guy.
It's just
Solomon
we're
Thomas
happy with anything.
We're moving back 1.
Yeah.
We're obviously going to get him.
Yeah, because the Bears were going Mitch.
For the Colts, it's simply we could take this, we can take that. There are multiple things that they need. They will fill one of these needs that they have, whether it's a linebacker, whether it's the edge rusher, whether it's offensive line.
And I mean, with my situation, could you imagine Colts fans, and I want to know what you guys think down below, what you guys would take. Could you imagine them sitting at 6 and having to pick between Bradley Chubb, Minkah Fitzpatrick, and Quentin Nelson?
Beautiful.
Like having that kind of oh my God, first world problems.
Yeah.
Like that is just a hard decision which one you go from.
not to move away from the Colts too much.
Okay.
Although I do think this is, like you said, this is the home run because the Colts have a lot that they need to do to build around Andrew Luck when he eventually shows back up. There is a possibility if I'm sitting here and living in my situation, my reality, where you have quarterback, and then Cleveland going to Minka.
Okay.
If I'm the Denver Broncos, I'm saying, all right, who wants pick number 5? Because Saquon Barkley is sitting on the board. Quentin Nelson's sitting on the board. Somebody's going to be interested.
You're saying the Broncos?
Yeah. On the Broncos, I'll call Chicago and say, hey, how badly do you want that offensive guard? You know, I'm going to say, hey, guys, everybody in the room, Saquon Barkley, he's still here.
Yeah.
You know, who wants him? And
Jeez, which team would trade up for a running back?
I think Tampa Bay should think about it. I think that Miami could think about it because I still like J.J. I don't know why they got rid of him.
The Raiders wouldn't because they got beast mode and now Doug Martin in that backfield.
I'd rather have Saquon Barkley, but I get what you're saying.
But they're not going to trade up for that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I totally understand what you're saying. It's just one of those things where I'm like, I don't see the rationale. Maybe the Lions.
I'm going to double down with you. I'm going to take yours and raise you one bit. What if the Colts aren't done moving? What if the Colts, as the draft goes by, sits there at 6, and let's say, depending on the quarterbacks we didn't think would go, or like you said, the Broncos call up let's do that. Broncos call up the Bucs, say Saquon's on the board. They do a trade to flip the 7th and the 6th because they're like, the Colts aren't going to take a quarterback. They got Andrew Luck. If I'm the Colts then and the Bucs take Saquon, I immediately pick up the phone and go, Buffalo, what quarterback you want? I can make your dreams happen right now and put you ahead of John Elway. What's it going to do to get me those first 2 picks? What's it going to do to get me those third? And could you imagine if they got all the seconds from the Jets and the 12th and the 22nd pick in the first round?
It'd be great.
Would you question?
Yeah.
If you were a Colts fan, would you be happy with the 12 and the 22 over like a Bradley Chubb, Minka Fitzpatrick, or a Nelson with that 6th pick? Because you would be trading back. You'd get 2 players for 1 though.
At the moment, I think I would be. Because you just set all those top players back about 3-4 spots.
Yes.
So you're still going to get one of these top corners, or you're still going to get one of these top offensive linemen. I mean
you could
there's a
get
good
Marcus
chance,
Davenport at 12.
I was going to say, there's a good chance you could get the top tackle on the board.
Vita Vea?
No, the offensive tackle.
You're talking the top offensive tackle.
I'm thinking you could get, if you like McGlinchey, if you like
Orlando Brown, who didn't have a great combine, I know.
Exactly. There's a chance you can get one of these top tackles because if everybody's going back and Chicago's thinking of maybe they go for Ward, or maybe that as you're sitting here, San Francisco could go for the edge as opposed to what I say wide receiver, and Quentin Nelson. If he's still on the board, if Chicago didn't take him, maybe the 49ers take him. You could still get this chance to do that. And I think it would be a great opportunity for the Colts. The thing to think about for Indianapolis Colts is they're in this holding pattern until Andrew Luck comes back. So they're just going to want to build random pieces around that to make it happen.
Here's what I'm thinking. If that trade happened, and let's say the 2 trades, Broncos, and then that forces the Colts to make it, if the Colts got the 12 and the 22nd from the Bills, I know you're losing out on a potential Bradley Chubb, but at 12, you could fill that edge need with Marcus Davenport, the edge from Texas, San Antonio, and then at 22nd, you can sit there and go, all right, are we going to go with a Brown Connor Williams like you had in that area for your mock draft to fit that O-line? Are we going to go linebacker there? Maybe a Harold Landry is there available for that kind of outside presence. That might be the
prime time to take a wide receiver.
Exactly. Could they go with a Calvin Ridley if he falls that far, a Cortland Sutton, a
Christian
Alan
Kirk
Lazar,
said he's
a
the
Christian
best.
Kirk? He did say he was the best. Or a James Washington. Could they go with a wide receiver there? That might help them out a little more, especially because if they make a trade with the Bills, it's not just going to be the first 2 first-rounders. There will be some other picks in there, so you will get more players later in the draft as well.
Yeah, I mean, it would be nice. It's the kind of thing where it's just a luxury right now. You could just go and grab what you got right now. You could trade back and enjoy even more picks. The Colts are in a good spot.
Now I got a question for you, and this comes from Twitter.
All right.
From, like I said, one of our loyal fans, Shane O'Mac on Twitter. Shane O'Mac at Shane O'Mac. Here's what he said to us. He also tweeted you in this too. He quoted a tweet where...
He tweeted the Mark Weber.
Oh, that's right. The Mark Weber. Yeah. Not you. I
was going to respond to it, but I forgot.
Yeah, the Mark Weber.
I'm sorry, Shane O'Mac.
Well, you know what's funny? The Mark Weber is from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. You were in Wisconsin today.
Yeah, I was.
So he was just thinking, Mark's in Wisconsin. Maybe that was it. Here's what he said, though. What would the Colts get with him? And he's quoting a tweet where the Colts hosted Cam Meredith for a visit per Field Yates. You're a Bears guy.
Yeah.
What would the Colts get with Cam Meredith if they signed him?
What would they get with Cam Meredith?
Would they still go wide receiver? If our situation, would they still go wide receiver? Is Cam Meredith, to me, I'm thinking, is Cam Meredith a move the needle guy?
No, he's like a 2-3
okay.
Type of receiver. I mean, he's nice, but he's also coming off of a bad injury where he missed like almost the entire season. I think he missed the entire season, actually, this last year. So he missed a lot of time. He only had 1 year where he really looked good. I mean, he's a pretty fresh guy out of Illinois State, I believe, is where he came from. And, he's not enough of a sample size to where
he did
I'm
come
excited.
out of Illinois State.
It's the kind of thing where if you're trading for Cam Meredith, you're probably trading a 6th-round pick or something for him.
It's a Berwyn, Illinois kid.
There you go.
Berwyn, Illinois kid. Any final thoughts on this before we move on?
I think that everything is being very clear about what their plans are in the draft right now.
This is what I love about the draft. Pure chaos when something like this, and it just drops that little bit of just dysfunction and chaos into what we do. And I can't wait to do our next mock draft in about a month. But this is where you guys come in. Let us know what you think down below in that comment section.